Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rob's Movie Reviews. If you like what you're seeing on this channel, then please, by all means, hit the like button, subscribe, and let your friends know about the channel. Now, I upload a new video every Monday, so be sure to check back each week and see what movie I'm reviewing. This week, I want to review a movie entitled Legends of the Fall. It stars Anthony Hopkins, Aidan Quinn, Brad Pitt, and Henry Thomas, which you might remember as Elliot from the 1980s classic E.T. It also stars Julia Ormond. The film starts in the late 1800s, early 1900s, telling the story of Colonel Ludlow, played by Anthony Hopkins. He is serving in the United States military. He has fought in the Indian Wars, and he has finally had enough. He just does not approve of what's being done to the Native Americans, so he basically just resigns his commission and walks away. He brings his wife from out to Montana from the east and settles there with her. He builds a big farm. He takes on some farm hands. They have 3 sons. The oldest, named Alfred, played by Aidan Quinn. The middle-aged son, Tristan, played by Brad Pitt, and then the youngest son, Samuel, played by Henry Thomas. Now, after a few years, Colonel Ludlow's wife decides that she doesn't like that type of life. She doesn't like living in the frontier. The winters are too harsh, so she decides to go back to the city in the Northeast, which they never really specify which city it is. But she goes home, and Colonel Ludlow is basically left to raise the 3 boys himself. Now, the 2 oldest brothers, Alfred and Tristan, they love their little brother unconditionally. They devote their lives to protecting him, keeping him safe. There's absolutely nothing that they won't do for him. They love him so much. And when the boys start coming of age and becoming young men, Samuel decides to go back east and spend a summer with his mother. Now, when he comes home, he brings with him his fiancée, Susanna, played by Julia Ormond. And as soon as they arrive, you can see a spark between her and Tristan. Of course, both of them ignore it, try to ignore it, because, she's engaged to Samuel to be his wife. But there's definitely something there. There's an attraction between the 2 of them. Well, shortly after Samuel and his fiancée arrive back at the farm, they're all sitting around the dinner table one night, and Samuel starts talking about what's happening in Europe, where the Kaiser has started to take over most of Europe. World War I is kicked into full gear. The United States at this point has yet to commit to the war. So Samuel announces that he's made the decision that he's going to go north to Canada and sign up for the Canadian Army, because he feels that it's his duty to try to help stop the spread of evil throughout the world. His older brother Alfred feels the same way, so he immediately says, "Hey, I'll go with you." Now, Tristan, Brad Pitt's character, he's not in favor of it. Like his father, Colonel Ludlow, who is extremely angry. He doesn't want his boys getting involved with war. He already knows what war is like. He's been through it. He tries to talk them out of it, to no avail. They won't listen to him. They're young. They're full of energy. They think it's their duty to help protect the world, so they're going to rush off and do this thing. But eventually Tristan goes to his father and explains to him, "I'm going to go with them." And the sole purpose of doing so is to watch over Samuel and make sure that he comes home safely. So the 3 brothers, they go to Canada. They join the Canadian military. They get sent to the front in France to fight the Germans. Now, Alfred and Tristan do a pretty good job of keeping their brother safe until Alfred gets injured in battle. And while Tristan is visiting Alfred in the field hospital, Samuel is approached by one of his commanding officers and given the opportunity to do a recon mission. He goes off basically on his own. By the time word gets back to Alfred and Tristan what's happened, Tristan does not have time to get out to the enemy line to save his brother. Samuel has already been seen by the German soldiers, and as Tristan's riding up to try to save his brother, he is gunned down in a very brutal fashion. And Tristan basically holds his brother in his arms and watches him die. Now, Tristan was a wild one growing up, and he took it upon himself to learn a lot of Native American customs, and one of them is that when a warrior dies, his heart is to be removed so that his spirit can go free. And also because he knows, back in those days there was no way of preserving a body for a long journey, so Tristan cuts his brother's heart out, puts it in a box, and sends it home to his father. This is where the resentment really kicks in between Tristan and Alfred. Alfred blames Tristan for not watching out for his brother. He blames Samuel's death on Tristan. Then once the war's over and they go back home, the sparks that were flying between Tristan and Susanna pick back up, and they end up having a night of passion together, and Alfred finds out about it, and he's extremely angry. He blames Tristan for disgracing his brother's memory. They almost get into a fight right then and there, and that's when Tristan decides maybe Alfred's right. Maybe I need to get away, because he knows that he can't be the type of husband that Susanna needs. So Tristan goes off and travels the world. He's gone for several years. By the time he gets back, Alfred has already married Susanna. He's taken her. He's moved into Helena, the capital of Montana, where he's become a very successful businessman, as well as gotten involved with city politics and state politics. In fact, there's a group of people that are actually trying to get him to run for the United States Congress. It's at this time that some friction begins between the Ludlows and a couple of Irish thugs named the O'Banion brothers, who basically run all the smuggling business in the area, because this is during the time of Prohibition, so they're bootlegging alcohol down from Canada. And Colonel Ludlow has lost most of his fortune, so Tristan decides, heck with it, screw the government, so to speak. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to bootleg whiskey down from Canada, and that causes some major problems between them and the O'Banions. I'm not going to go a whole lot more into it, but it does build up to a very explosive climax that when it takes place, you see the reconciliation between the brothers. They finally come back together for a united cause, and it's a wonderful movie. If you haven't seen Legends of the Fall, you should really check it out. It's well written. The visuals in this movie are unbelievable. The locations that were chosen are just absolutely breathtaking. The sets were so meticulously and well built. It's easy to see how this film actually won for Best Cinematography, won the Academy Award. It was actually nominated for 2 other Academy Awards, but Best Sound Mixing and Best Production Design, but it did take home the Academy Award for Best Cinematography. I believe the cinematographer's name that worked on the picture was John Toll. He did a wonderful job, but then again, look at the canvas he had to work with. Just visually, this movie is stunning. The acting is unbelievable. Anthony Hopkins really stands out, just like he always does. Every role that he's ever been cast in, he just brings to life and just makes it his own, and this movie's no exception. There's several scenes in this movie where he nearly brought me to tears. His acting is just so powerful. And I will also take my hat off to Aidan Quinn, who plays Alfred. He was absolutely wonderful in this movie. Alfred's character is a bit of a jerk, but Aidan Quinn's acting is just so powerful that he actually makes you feel pity in spite of yourself for Alfred. It's a wonderful movie. It's a movie that you should definitely put on your list of movies to see if you haven't seen it already. And that concludes my review of Legends of the Fall. And until next time, you all take care.